What's up guys, it's Ethan. I won one of the toughest technology competitions where I had to come up with an idea, build a product, and present it to hundreds of people. I won over $10,000. I'm gonna show you the steps I took to win big so you can go on your own entrepreneurial journey, come up with your own product, build your own app, build your own tech company, and make a lot of money. Check this out. So the most important piece about building a groundbreaking product is actually smashing the like button on this video. Tell the YouTube algorithm that you like my content and you want to see more of it. And by subscribing with all notifications, you will ensure that you never miss a beat. And I go over negotiation, psychology, how to build companies, everything you need to win big. So let's get to the video. So first we'll go over how to come up with an idea that is actually useful. How do we know what a good idea looks like? Then, how do we build this idea? What if you're not technical? What if you're not a programmer? How can you build your concept? And then finally, once you have your concept built out, how do you get people to even use it? How are you going to get investors to give you money? How do you tell stories to motivate people, to captivate them to get excited about your product? So in my scenario, my friend Leon actually reached out to me a month before the competition with a bright idea. He watched a documentary on how the ATF is very slow at tracing firearms that are found at a crime scene with who purchased them. When you buy a firearm in the United States, you have to fill out a form where you put your first name, your last name, your address, and then you actually have to put the serial number of the gun that you're purchasing, and that serial number is edged into that gun. So if this gun is then used at a crime, to commit a crime, and it's found on the crime scene, you would think it'd be very simple for the detective to take the gun, call up the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm Agency, and say, hey, who bought this gun with this serial number? And they should be able to tell you who registered for it, right? Wrong. When you buy a firearm, these registration forms are sent to the ATF, but they're not allowed to electronically categorize them. They can't store them in a database. All they can do is keep them as an image, and they have over 700 million of these images, and then they have an army of people that will then search through these images very manually and look for various gun registration forms that match ongoing crime investigation. So you can imagine the wait period between when a firearm is found. It could be weeks, months, maybe they'll never even find the gun registration form that they have in their warehouse. This leaves more crime investigations going unsolved and more bad guys getting away. This is bad. Now, I'm not an expert in gun tracing, law enforcement, but what I do know is that there's definitely experts out there. So I just went on Google and I searched gun law, gun tracing, and I came across an organization that's a nonprofit that spends lots of time and resources figuring out how to better improve law enforcement. I then just filled out their contact form saying I had this great idea and that no one seems to have thought about it. What do you guys think? You're the experts. They got back to me in 24 hours with a meeting with their senior advisors. When we met with them, they said they've never seen anything like it. They didn't even think this was possible, and they think it's a truly novel idea. They even knew people at the ATF, the federal government, that they could connect me to and help get our product in front of them to see whether or not it was feasible. One of the biggest misconceptions in the idea phase is people keep their ideas to themselves as if that someone might try to steal them. This does not happen in the real world. It doesn't happen really. The Facebook story, yeah, we all know about the Facebook story, but this doesn't happen. That was an exception. Tell your ideas to experts. Tell your ideas to people who are in that industry, because what's going to happen is, one, you might get some great feedback. Two, they may like the idea and want to invest, and now you have your first investor, or they may be your first customer. Tell people your idea, get their feedback, and then use that so you can overcome issues that may arise in the future. If you have this path, this entrepreneurial journey you're going down, and barriers are going to arise, they will. Sometimes the feedback you get early on will prepare you to avoid them and go in different directions. This is what you need to be successful. And with LinkedIn, there's no excuse not to find experts. They're extremely approachable, and if they're truly passionate about their industry, you should be able to reach out to them. Tell them in a message what you're working on and what you've done so far. Show them you've put in the work, and I bet you they get back to you. They might even have a call. And like I said, if you impress them, they might be an advisor or your first customer or an investor. You really have nothing to lose. So we went from nothing to an idea backed by experts that are excited about our product. So now let's build it. So in my situation, I flew out to the competition with my team, and we had about 48 hours upon arrival to build our product and present it. Our technology was actually relatively simple. It was only two pieces. We had the iPhone, which uses the camera to look at the computer screen where the registration forms would be displayed, and then it would communicate to a wireless Legos controller whether or not this was a match. And if it wasn't a match, the Legos controller would then scroll to the next form. And essentially, it could read the forms very quickly, determine if the serial number matched an ongoing investigation that we told it to look for, and it would continually search through these forms. It could do thousands of forms very quickly. We built this product in 8 hours. And the competition had some teams of 7 to 10 people. And you might think that's an advantage, having more people, but actually it's a disadvantage in my opinion. I'd rather have 1 or 2 really smart engineers to work with as opposed to a massive team, because then you have to manage them, put all the code together, all these different opinions that people can argue over. No. Get a very small, nimble team, work together, and then deliver an awesome product. Now, I've been programming for a very long time, so for me to build this product, I knew what I was doing. I've worked in artificial intelligence, I've built iPhone apps before. This was easy for me. But for many of you who don't have the technical expertise or technical background, turn to LinkedIn. Again, turn to LinkedIn. Find your engineers on LinkedIn. Find seniors in college who want to bolster their resume so they can go to Facebook, they can go to TikTok, they can go to Google. They want to go to top companies. And in order for them to do this, they need to have a great resume. And a lot of times, they're willing to work on side projects for near free. You might give them a piece of your company just to get them excited, some equity. But overall, they're going to work for much lower than the market value of their talents. So you can get these people to work on your projects, build your company, and get you to a position where you can then go to investors and raise capital. You just need to build enough of a product so that you can show how feasible your idea is. By doing this, you'll get investors excited to give you cash and hopefully hire an engineering team to build it out properly. But even if you finish building the product, how do you get an investor excited about your idea? How do you get customers captivated by your concept? Because customers and investors see ideas all the time. They see products all the time. Why would they choose you? And it comes down to the presentation, the third and final point. Most people overlook this point, and I think it's the most important point. If you cannot present your company, if you can't present your tech solution, I don't care what you've built. You're not gonna get people to rally behind your cause. Most people who have a technical background like to present their products by talking about the features. They say it can do this, it can do that, it can look at all these amazing features. No one cares. No one cares about the features because they're not contextualized. Some people do slightly better where they'll talk about the problem. Here's the problem we're solving, and here's our solution. Okay, that's a little bit better, but that's not the best approach. We'll keep that format, but instead of talking about the problem, insert the audience into your story. Talk about the problem as if it's their problem and walk them through, hold their hand through a journey to the solution and make them the hero. And in my situation at the competition, we found out that we were finalists very shortly before having to present. So I only had like 10 minutes to prepare, and my presentation could only be 2 minutes long. We're in the finals right now, walking to the main stage, about to do a full demo. Well, let's see how I did. So in the United States right now, if you buy a firearm, you fill out a form called a 4473. It gets sent to the government, but they're not allowed to store that in a database. It's against the law. In 1986, they created a legislation to protect the privacy of firearm owners, and when that gun is involved in the crime, and they try to find out who bought that gun, it takes the ATF 3 to 7 weeks to find that gun owner. They have 70 million of these forms stored as images on a drive, and no organization, because they're not allowed to, it's against the law. And they have people thumbing through these files to find out which serial number matches an ongoing investigation. One of 8,000 that could be happening. Notice how I use the word you, so every audience member inserts themselves into the story and understands the problem. Wow, this is so inefficient, this process about how to trace firearms. Wow, if there's only a solution, then you're gonna walk them through the solution and how your technology can solve their problems. Remember, it's their problems. And they'll get this great sense of relief. So we use computer vision to simulate that searching through, and it's completely external. So we turn to the demo. We use computer vision, and what's happening right now is that there is a controller controlling the actual laptop, completely external, and the computer vision is determining if this serial number is a match, and I found a match. So this can happen 24/7. 1,000 of these would actually cut down that trace time from weeks to actually 1 hour. And most people stop here on their storytelling, and this is where they lose. What you want to do next is the most important piece in your presentation. With the problem and the solution understood by the customer, you need to make them the hero, where you talk about the impact. Look how we're gonna save thousands of lives. Look how you're gonna save thousands of lives.
And we're working with the ATF, and we've reached out to them, and this actually is within the confines of that 1986 law. So this is a way for us to save lives, thousands of lives, by catching bad guys with guns and tracing those weapons quicker. Thank you.
And what did the audience and the judges think?
And in the first place, they will be walking out of here $10,000 heavier. Put your hands together for Inquisling.
Yes! Yes!
Guys, I hope this video helped you understand how to build a product, how to come up with an idea, how to build it, and how to sell it, how to get people excited about your concept so you can go forward and build a great technology. Make sure you guys like this video. I'm a new creator and this really helps me. Definitely subscribe if you haven't with all notifications, and I'll check you guys out next time.